And then the phone rang. I pick it up, and I'm like, hello? And my lawyer, she's like, hey, Corey. And I was like, hey, Corey. I said, you sounded jubilant to myself, you know. And she was like, I said, are we winning? She's like, yes, we're winning. She said, yes, we're winning. She said, we're winning.
Goodfellas is a simple mental space to heal and grow by a black man for everyone who's listening. I'm Hosea Chanchez, and this is Goodfellas. Welcome to Goodfellas. I'm your host, Hosea Chanchez. In today's episode, we're going to speak to one of the most incredible men I've met on my journey, and I mean that sincerely. This brother in this episode will not only help a lot of black men, it will heal a lot of humans in general. This man was incarcerated for 17 years and had 16 life sentences. Stay tuned. We're about to talk to Corey Jacobs about his entire life and how he turned lemons into lemonade. Corey Jacobs, what's good?
Everything's good. Everything is great. You know, I'm blessed. It was just my birthday.
Happy belated.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thank you for spending this time with me, with us.
Yes.
You have a unbelievable amount of things to be grateful for.
Yes.
Your life and your journey, you are one of the most interesting men I've met on my 40 plus years on this planet.
Wow.
And
That's
I mean
big.
that honestly.
No, that's big. Yeah.
So thank you for having a conversation with me, with
Yes.
us, the world,
Yes.
about your story, brother. So you've actually overcome some things in your life that most men not only couldn't fathom, but couldn't make it through.
Right.
Hearing your life story and what you've been through inspired me so much more to be present in my life and to be thankful for every single day that I have.
Every millisecond.
Day.
That's 24 hours
See?
in a day. It's
I
a
knew
lot.
you- come on,
It's a lot
yes.
that could be done in a day. Like right now, we're together, we're talking, we're in LA. We know that we're going to be broadcasting out to people that's going to hear our interaction and what kind of energy, how can we impact people's lives with the conversation?
Yes, sir. And energy is a thing that you're really big on.
Yes,
I love
100%.
that about you and your story
Right.
and your energy.
Yes.
I want to talk about your story before you were incarcerated, before we get to your clemency and being
right.
pardoned.
Right.
Who is Corey Jacobs and where you from, brother?
Yeah, well, I'm Corey Jacobs. I'm from the Bronx, New York. Born and raised. I was raised by my grandmother. My father is from Africa, immigrated from Africa when he was 12, and worked at a food stand. And Corey is just a person who's made decisions that that changed the trajectory of his life. But I didn't let it define me, and I'm much better for it.
Amen to that. So, growing up in the Bronx,
Yeah.
did you and your family did you feel like an immigrant in any way, or did you just feel
No.
like a black man making it in America?
Yeah, I think my formative years was very rough, because my father went to prison, and then my mother, she lost her way, you know what I'm saying, and then I had to end up like so many grandmothers got to take the burden, and raise their grandkids, right, when the parents like fall short. And so my grandmother is really like, I have a saying, I call it, we did it, grandma. And that like culminates my journey, and something we could talk about. But she's the person who instilled all the morals in me, the values, and taught me so much. A lot of times she's older, you're thinking like, grandma, you don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? She's like, no, listen, I used to go to Apollo, and she started pulling out pictures. She's like, yo, and if I would have just listened to grandma more, I would have just been much more, I would have escaped a lot of like hardship, right? So but obviously it's hindsight. I look back on those times, and I just and I really appreciate all the things that she instilled in me, and that's really why I'm the person I am today.
Amen to that. I connect with you so many ways, but this particular instance is something that I identify with. My grandmother raised me as well. My parents weren't, they were younger, so they weren't as present, which I'm so grateful for, because it feels so much better to have the upbringing of a stable human being. I always say that grandparents are God's way of giving parents a second chance.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they already did it one time.
Yeah.
So now, if you have a young mother and a father and they trying to figure out life and they got a young, a young son, and me, I was the only child. And sometimes there's a lot of missteps that can happen, right? And the grandparents are there a lot of times to pick up the pieces.
That's right. Because they're just people who have children.
Yeah, no, 100%.
They're all of us just with extra baggage,
no,
trying to make it.
100%.
Your grandmother was a heavy influence in your life. Was your grandfather around at that time?
Yes, he was. He was very, it was like the best of both worlds. My grandfather was a very huge disciplinarian. He was in the war. He was actually like the first captain of corrections at Rikers Island in New York.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't know this growing up. I just thought he was like a police officer or something. I thought he might have been like a cop, basically. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I seen a billy club, a gun, and I was just like, he always was out, late nights, and I'm like, damn, But later on, I realized that he was actually a correction officer in one of the most, in the biggest prisons in jails in New York City, right? And he was an African American, right? So he was very, I walked through the house, I used to have to wear my slippers, and he taught me how to iron, and, and all these different things I needed to survive as a young man, how to type, and, and all these different things that I use today, right? Like typing, everybody's like, I'm like, with both hands, right? And that was because the early years, they always made sure I had those tools, to that I needed, right? To take care of myself, not to have to rely on anybody to clean up after yourself, and all of these different things that you kind of need as a man to be able to do.
I can identify with, in your story, reading about it, and we're going to talk more in depth about it. I can identify with the favor that's over your life, and it seems like this favor has been there since you were maybe a young man, a young boy. Did you feel in some way special, or did you feel like through it all that there was a part of you who was protected by something?
I do. I think my grandmother, right? I remember so many different things. Like my mom, sometimes she would leave me in the house and not even come back. And I call grandma and I'll be on the phone and, she'll send a taxi for me and I go to her and she'll hold me in her arms and she'll just rock me. She's like, grandma's little baby boy, right? And then she would just instill all these affirmations in me of what I can do and what I can be. And, because, when you feel abandoned, these things, give you a little insecurities. So she always made me feel safe and secure and loved. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, that was always a major part of it. So when I started going through my journey and things got hard, I had that foundation that I believed that I was here to do something more than my circumstances at a particular time. So I think that definitely it helps you when you feel like you're on this earth for a reason to persevere through adversity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's much easier to push through. It's hard regardless.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, right? But if you feel like you have purpose in your life, that's the motivating factor to keep moving forward, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So when I finally got my freedom and I got clemency from the president, that's why it's like we did it, grandma, right? I figured out life. It took me all of those years of passing all of the different tests and being tested. And I did believe as I started going through prison, why am I here? Right? Why do I have 16 life sentences, right? Out of 8 billion people in the world. I'm one of the people who has a virtual death sentence. What did I do? Right? To deserve to never, ever, 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 never, no matter what you do, life without parole, no matter how much good you do in prison or how much you change yourself, you can never redeem yourself. I thought about that, right? And then
would you say there's a, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but would you say that you can identify with there is a calling in your life? Whenever we go through things in our life, God didn't set this whole thing up for us to be defeated. Everything that God created grows. And growth means stretching beyond a point in your life.
Your boundaries and your comfort zone and everything.
Absolutely.
Right.
So could you identify with this before you ended up in prison?
No, not at all. It took about 5 years for me being in a situation because you got to think I've never been to prison before. This is my first offense, and I get 16 life sentences for a non-violent crime.
Well, what happened?
I mean, listen, I was, like I said, I was always considered a very smart young man. You know, I think some of the stuff about, like, obviously with your parents and, you know, being an only child, those things, you know, I think I was a little more receptive to influence when I was younger, because I was seeking more like maybe some brotherhood or acceptance and things that in that nature. So I ended up being the first, you know, person to go to college in the family, right? So I don't know if you knew that. And I went to school for engineering, right? Because computer engineering, because I was like, that was coming into existence, like computers and stuff. And then I did have a love for math and science. So I went in, I tested into it, I was able to get in there. And what ended up happening, all my friends went to HBCUs in the South, right? I have everybody from Norfolk to Howard to Morehouse and all these schools. And I was like the only one that was left in New York City. They all went away. And everybody went away. Wow. But I didn't have the finances, because you had to pay to go to school out of state. So as I would go visit on the weekends, you know, and things of that nature, I started getting enamored by the culture. I had never been around my people like that. So many black people, right? I went to Old Boys Catholic School, I did this. So when I got out there, you know, my grandmother cried like a baby. Like when she was like, you making that decision, you know what I'm saying? Like, after all, as far as we came, please don't do it.
Yeah.
And I did it. I transferred. And that was just how everything changed. I went out there, you know, people started getting money. I'm from New York, and, you know, dudes is getting money in front of me, jumping out of Corvettes and BMs and different things. And I'm trying to, you know, do it the right way. And then ultimately, I mean, I was an engineering student. Like, I realized I could put $1 over another. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And I was, you know, I was a marketer, you know what I'm saying, at heart. And I was a trendsetter, you know what I'm saying? I turned into a real heavy lifestyle guy. And then you do things in life, you know, you don't really have the intention. You say, I just want to get some weed, and I'll just get a couple dollars so I can pay for my school, and I can live off campus. Or then I want to get a car. You know what I'm saying? And then you want to do this, and then you start to get it. Oh, I'm gonna stay in a little longer, and I'm gonna do these things. And a lot of people do these type of things, and then it gets out of hand, right? And that's kind of what happened with me, right? It was something that I didn't intend to do, you know, as a career. It was just to supplement my income, and it just got bigger than I expected it to get. Wow. And then, you know, at some point, I got out the game. I went back home. And I realized that there was other ways to make money besides selling drugs, basically, right? I could go buy low, sell high, buy a T-shirt for $1 and $2, and then I started doing that. I got into merchandising. I got into the music, and I got in here. I started managing artists, and I started doing parties overseas and in the West Indies, and I was like finding my groove. I was like, this is what I was supposed to do. I almost messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like I almost went that way all the way. 2 years later, I catch an indictment for the stuff that I did before, after I done left the game. You know what I'm saying? And then so I had to answer to that. I had to answer to that. And that's how everything, it just started steamrolling, right? You know, in that direction. So that's basically that story.
Growing up, my cousins were some of the biggest drug lords in Alabama. And they were geniuses in ways. And I've always thought and known that there's no difference in, you know, whether you worked for Microsoft and became Bill Gates with your genius, or if you were a big drug lord.
Yeah, because you have to strategize. You could be a strategist.
Well, you're still a businessman. You're a CEO.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, you're a CEO. It's just what you use your power for,
right,
or your influences that determine your outcome. But there is no difference in you and Bill Gates.
No, 100%. And a lot of times, by having a broken family and not having your father around and these type of things, you just don't have that little. And I didn't have the big brother and the thing. It's just that little thing. I was close, but it was just that little thing that you had like other friends of mine who had brothers, they was like, yo, get over here, man. I'm playing, you know, Pop's gonna slap the shit, you know what I'm saying? But get in the house, oh, yo, listen, they could see it coming. There was nobody there to see it coming. You know what I mean? To see it coming, to be able to be like, my grandmother could, but she just couldn't get outside and drag me in the house.
That's right.
That was the difference.
And being the only child, you're almost left to your own way to figure out the world. Because I was the only child for the first 13 years of my life, too.
Exactly.
And for those first 13 years of my life, you have to figure out your own system, you know. And the streets teach you some things, your parents teach you some things, and your friends teach you some things. But ultimately, you're left to the mercy of your environment in ways, right?
And the decisions, right? It's sometimes, man, it's just, I'm not gonna say it's bad luck, but it's just like a decision or two away when you're right there and you go right instead of going left, and it just changes everything.
Yeah.
But that gets us back to the journey, right? That although this happened, and I did have to end up getting 16 life sentences, and I did have to do 17 years in prison, what came out of that, right? And when I came to the realization of like why I'm here, how I can add value to people's lives, even in that environment, right? I that was kind of like the cold crack of me just seeing my purpose. I knew that I was put there, right, to learn, to grow, to mature, and to be tested for all of the responsibility that I would have upon my freedom. And I said I knew I'm getting out because I felt like I had more to do, right? And so I think the attitude that anybody looks at something, your situation, is really what helped me persevere through 17 years in prison, right? My attitude towards why I was there, right? And so I maximized. I actually think I milked more out of prison than it milked out of me. Like I read thousands of books. I taught programs. I created programs. I learned. I tapped into myself. I learned things about myself I would have never learned. It's impossible because of all of the creature comforts. You know what I'm saying? All of the different accoutrements. You know what I'm saying? That's out here, right? You don't have to go in that deep. You're only gonna go that deep if you're forced to, right? And you maybe run into a brick wall. Right. So due to the fact that I spent 17 years going within, right, unraveling all of the different stuff, all the trauma, all the different things, the bad decisions, forgiving myself, and and then coming out. Sometimes people go in and they never come out. Right. They never come out because they lose that battle. Right. And so I was blessed to have been able to sit still for long enough to see myself and get clarity, right? Because I believe like once you see yourself clear, that's only then can you see the world clear, right?
Amen.
That's the only time people think they're running stuff. You're not running anything.
That's right.
You don't even see yourself clear. You can't even see all these blind spots that you're missing. You see what I'm saying? But you think you just got all the sense. You know what I'm saying?
That's actually something that I live by, and I've said on this show many a times, is my own personal mantra is to thine own self be true.
Yeah.
And to thine own self be true, because if you aren't true and truthful to yourself, if you don't know who you are, the world will teach you.
No, 100%.
And if you do know who you are, that's the foundation you need to build not only a credible life, but a wonderful life for yourself. But you must know who you are. This brings me to you.
Right.
And purpose.
Right.
Do you think that this is what your life needed for you to be the man that you are today?
100%.
Did you 100? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think that I was chosen. This path was chosen for me, right? Because I was just the person that probably could get 16 life sentences and just like get out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the bottom line. Like because of how I view things, life, I'm a very forgiving person, and you have to be forgiving because when you're going through something like that, you start to like place blame on other people on decisions, right? You make decisions that you're responsible for, friends you choose, or whatever relationships you get in. And when people fall short, a lot of times we get hurt by that, right? We're hurt by that. And you get so hurt sometimes you don't recover, from the hurt. And then you sulk in it. And then you look up one day, you're going through the circumstances and you can't get out of bed in the morning. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you get defeated, right? Yeah. So for me, I had forgiven myself, obviously, for the decisions I made. I never held a grudge on people, for whatever somebody might have told on you, something this happened, that happened. A lot of people's like, yo, if I didn't snitch on me, I'll never be in prison. I used to be like, yo, you messed with them.
Yeah.
You're responsible.
Yeah.
Or the baby mama did this and the baby mama, you chose the baby mama.
That's right.
Y'all, you had a baby with a boom, this, that, and the other. If you would have really knew who you was dealing with, you would have known that this type of person it is, that they was only for the money. You know what I'm saying? So now when she ran off and got another guy, when you couldn't do nothing and you no longer could supply whatever that you were supplying, you no longer are a factor. That's just a rude awakening that you need to have. You see what I'm saying? You need to get the reality of the situation so that you can make better decisions later, so you can see people clear. You know what I'm saying? So next time you can be like, yo, you know what? We just to hit girls together. I made him my brother. But brothers, no, we just hit girls together. He got a new friend now and they're hitting girls together. You're no longer there. You know what I'm saying? So
your entire aura is belief in choice.
Yes.
Right? And we have consequences to our choices.
100%.
And it sounds like you, through your own awareness, have understood why you made the choices that you made.
Yeah.
But most importantly, and this is the thing that most people need to understand, is you must forgive yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
Obviously, you should forgive other people. And I think that's the thing we talk about so much. And particularly as black men, we talk about forgiveness of others, but so many of us are not forgiving of ourselves.
You're beating yourself up.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Now, and for me, I looked at it as if I remain bitter through the process, and I know I'm going to get out in my mind, right? Because I have something to do. I'm just going to go through the process. Everything's a process. But if I beat myself up the entire 17 years, what Corey Jacobs are you going to get? You know what I'm saying? Like, what Corey Jacobs you're going to get? How can I even come out and win with that type of aura and energy that I'm projecting that I held on to for all that time?
Right.
You're going to be like, oh, he was in prison.
But Corey, you had 17 life sentences, brother.
16.
16 life sentences, apologies.
No, because we're going to go to 16. So we got to make sure we know the 16 is the play.
The 16 is the play.
Yeah.
But how was it possible for you to even imagine that you would get out? I said, you are a mental ninja. You are, and I would say genius level. It's pretty easy for me to dissect and unpack black men.
Right.
I've studied us. We all study, who we are, who we may be, who we want to be. You really exemplify mental genius because you knew that you were going to get out of prison with the odds, 16 of life's most damning odds against you. How in the heck did you think you would get out?
I remember one time you had a guy, and he was like, he knew I was on my first offense and he knew this. He said, yo, Corey, look, I had 30 cases, some robberies, this, that, and the other. I still have a date. You see what I'm saying? He was like, this unfathomable that you got that. He was like, you don't even have any light at the end of the tunnel, right? And so I thought about that. I was like, yo, I said, forget I don't got no light at the end of the tunnel. There's not even a tunnel to look down for hope. There's not even a tunnel. So I say, even in the principle book, I talk about it, when you don't have any light at the end of the tunnel, when you don't have a tunnel to crawl through, what do? You know what I'm saying? And you build a tunnel. You have to build a tunnel, right? When there is no tunnel to look down, right?
Yeah.
And so how do I build a tunnel? How do I build myself up? How do I become an incarcerated asset? How do I be so powerful and get so much value within myself till that I just transcend the prison walls? You see what I'm saying? You got to get that deep with it, and you have to believe that belief has to be strong. And I say, yes, belief, but for me, it's beyond belief, right? Some people have faith and they believe, but when it gets hard, they fold. They fold because you have 17 years, maybe after 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, 11, 12, 13, 14. After 10 and 11, I'm dealing with this. But 13, 14, 15. Now we get into, do you have belief for real? See what I'm saying? And that's what is being put on top of you. So when you make it over that hump, right, of being able to persevere when it feels like all is potentially lost, and you make it over, that's when you make it over the hump. You make it over the hump, and that's where the victory comes in, right? That's where the freedom of the mind comes in. You free your mind. So now you're not feeling incarcerated because all in your mind, your mind is free. So you're able to do more powerful things. You know what I'm saying? So once I freed my mind, I felt stronger. I felt the purpose. And I said, if I just stay strong and I never give up, right? And I stay true to myself, right? True to yourself. I don't change. I'll be the same young little Corey, that grandma's little baby boy, all the way to the end. I don't allow the prison to turn me into a backstabber or go to the other side, because it's easy to go to the other side.
Yeah.
If you got thousands of people around you and they're all feeling like they lost hope, how do you keep your energy intact, right, in order to make it through? And that's very hard.
What did you do specifically to sharpen your faith,
Right.
your belief, and that led you to your knowings? What?
I think like, how they say, like, don't expect to get something from the work you didn't do. Like, the whole thing, the saying, right? And it's like, I knew my heart, right? I was like, Corey, I had to think about this mathematically, right? I was like, Corey, do you have the mental capacity to think your way through the situation, right? Do you have what it takes, right? Number two, when I get out, am I going to get out, right? And do what I'm supposed to do? Am I a fraud? You know what I'm saying? Like, because if you're a fraud, God's going to see you, right? The universe is going to see. Like, you can't lie, you see what I'm saying, to the universe, right?
That's right.
I said, when I get out, I knew who I was. I knew I wasn't going to be a hypocrite. I knew that I was going to come out and do some amazing things and take what I've learned, the wisdom from the journey, and pour it into others. This is what I love to do.
Yeah.
So I was just being set up. I was the type of kid, I would come outside, and if my friends, I would have clothes in my jacket and I'll be divvying them out to other kids because they might not have the clothes as good as me. I was the guy that if I'm getting money, I'm breaking the money up and giving everybody a little bit of money, right? You know what I'm saying? So I knew I had the vision, and I knew that what I was gaining in there, you only can get to the solutions of being in the problem. There's solutions that need to be had. So how is the person going to come with a solution to some of these things with concerning freedom and criminal justice and different things the world might need, right? Having not been in the belly of the beast, suffering. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
I accepted it.
It seems like, I think it's fair to say that you were a good person going in based off of the way you lived your life with your friends and other people. But there's a lot of good people in prison. And there's a lot of good people who don't have their day or their just due. And I want to keep going back to this because I really want to unpack this. You knew you were getting out 16 life sentences. Where does that come from?
Man, it just comes from whatever's pouring in me. It's hard to explain a knowing, It's hard to explain. You just know. Yeah. Right? And you have this, let's say you have an idea and you be like, you're so, passionate about this. And other people around you, they it's not a win. They can't see it. But I know it's a win. Right? So it's like, when you can't listen to the naysayers. I can't listen to people saying like it's gonna be hard. And when they say I was going after my clemency, they're like, yo, Corey, that's gonna be almost impossible. There's 35,000 petitions in front of you, right? You have 16 life sentences. People that didn't even do as much as you did still aren't getting out. But I don't care about you. See what I'm saying? Like, that's not me. It's just I just knew that if there is a God, God's gonna let me out because I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna go world out here. I'm gonna bring it out. I'm gonna do some stuff that's so amazing to show the magnitude of what can be possible. You're gonna be at starting organizations, 60 lifers out of prison, doing that. All these different things I envision. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna go back in, and I'm gonna get more of us out. Right? So we started the Buried Alive Foundation. Now we're at 60 lifers that are no longer in prison because of that vision that obviously me, my attorney who got me out, you know what I'm saying, and another, one of her clients, that we're out here doing the work. And so, I don't know if there's any right answer to that. I don't know if that could be explained.
Is it, I wonder was it ever in your prayers?
Yes.
Was it a pact that you probably made with God to yourself?
I said like this.
there.
I remember saying this one time. I closed my eyes. I said, please, God, if you do this for me, and there's millions of people probably done this for someone, you know I'm going to be your best soldier. You know I'm going to go out here and do X, Y, Z. I remember saying that to myself. Put it this way. I really, 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 really knew that when I get out, what I was going to do. I said, if I don't get out, that's like a disservice to society. I just felt like that. I felt like if we want to make progress, right? If we want to create a wave of change, why not let the people out who sincerely want to be a part of the change? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And this is, and you know, and it's gonna manifest because it's manifesting now.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So I feel like the timing of everything in the culture, I feel like we're just moving to that point to where you need individuals like myself who are passionate, you know, about having impact, who also have the skill set. I knew I had the skill set.
Yeah.
I had so some where we kind of started is when I was in prison. I created programs while I was in prison. And you know, and because I did go to college, I understood that, and then I hustled, and I was in the streets, so I had like the entrepreneurial, it's best of both worlds. And so you know, the inmates was complaining, other cats was complaining that they wasn't coming in and teaching us, you know, they wasn't teaching us the things that we needed to know, outdated programs, you know, the workbooks wasn't what it is. And I'm just not a complainer. I'm a more solution based.
Yeah.
So why are we going to complain if they're not going to do it for us? So why don't we create our own program? So I put together a program with 25 classes around self-development, and I built out that program, and I started getting inmates to teach the program. And then from there, it just grew, right? Wow. And at that point, I started really leaning into my purpose, right? I started noticing that I was handling this better than a lot of people, and people was coming to me. I was putting together classes, and I was cracking the code to what individuals needed to learn to not like if he was in a college, but to get out of prison and be productive members of society, right? To get out of prison, and when we're already behind the 8 ball, how do you win when people went to college and can't get a job? What can you can win by adding value. It doesn't matter if I've been in prison or not. If I can come here and do the job, let's say my man, he's on the camera. You could have went to Harvard, but if he's shooting better content, if he's more hungrier, if he's showing up on time and early, if he's staying up later, if he's not complaining, if he's being accountable, that's the guy that I am going to put on the team. So I knew that. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like if people didn't have to worry about that background, as hard as it could be, but if you just add value to yourself, read books, learn, build yourself, you could come out here and be productive members. That started to grow. I started to feeling the energy and the movement of what was possible. And I started seeing that transcend out of prison, and I seen the need. So I felt like as I looked at thousands of inmates in prison, tens of thousands that I was coming in contact with, I was like, how many people are as sincere as me and going as relentless as I'm going? It wasn't a lot of them.
Yeah.
Even like the cats that was like super in the world, and they was just held this high when the pressure's on you. You know what I'm saying? And when you lose all of the things that made you what you are, the jewels, the chain, the rollie, all these things that you, material things that you attach to yourself that's separated from yourself. When you no longer had those things and it was just you and yourself, how built are you?
Yeah, who are you?
Who are you, right? And it wasn't, and I started noticing, I said, man, there are not a lot of people that are handling this thing. You see what I'm saying? They're
like
getting
you did,
sucked
for
in.
sure.
You know what I mean? Now, there was some people, you know what I'm saying, that was, but not everybody had life. Listen, life is a whole nother monster. You got people that could do 20 years, come out here. You know why? Because they're in there. They could tell their kids, oh, I'm going to see you. I'm going to see you.
Yeah,
There's hope.
a date. Yeah.
Right? I have a date. But to have a death sentence virtually not knowing if you're going to get out or not, that is something that is a whole nother level of time that you got to do.
Hey.
So I felt like as I grew, as I read, as I learned myself, as I became more aware, I felt so powerful that I felt like I'm getting out of here. And I felt more like this: they can't hold me.
You have, again, the mental fortitude of like a samurai, or I put you on the same level as what it takes for Bill Gates to run a company, because you have to intake certain things, but you can't take everything in. You have to stand by your knowings. What I'm really
You're not going to have all the answers. And when you're sitting there I tell people all the time, you're trying to explain it, or you need to know everything. You're not going to know everything. I'm not going to know exactly how I'm going to get out, but you know what? I went in this direction, kept my moral compass this way. I held firm with it. I attracted an attorney who took my case. I kept fighting for myself. And I say that in the book too, right? Life is going to slap you in the face, right? You're going to be slapped in the face by life, right? And in prison there's this thing, right? They're preying on people, right? Because obviously it's like the jungle, right? You out here, if you weak, you know what I'm saying? But people would say, I'll fight with you, but I can't fight for you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and that's the
there's a
metaphor
difference.
for the larger life, right? Like once you fight for yourself, the universe, God, or however you want to put it, right? In general, is going to bring you the pieces that you need, right? And they brought me in the form of an attorney that resigned from her job and took my case in my 15th year of prison, right? And 10 months after her taking my case, I was getting the confirmation that I got my freedom back.
What I want to really identify with you is the fact that it's not happenstance, and it's not just a prayer.
No.
There are tools and steps in this lifetime that God has given us for us to overcome adversity.
Yes.
And to win, Winergy.
Yep.
You prayed, and historically we know that you're supposed to come before the Lord with honesty. You prayed an honest prayer.
Yep.
You're a humble man who believed in yourself and what you could do.
That's right.
And that
And
is,
why I was here.
and why you were here,
Why I'm here.
and your purpose,
Yes,
which
right.
is a very big thing for a lot of us black men to understand, that your purpose, nothing must stop you from your purpose.
That's right.
But not just physical things that we all think. It's having the mental fortitude to fight through all of the circumstances that exist in our lives.
That's right.
And to fully believe in who you are, where you're going, and what your purpose here is for.
That's right.
And you have done an excellent job, brother, at being a mental ninja, I would say.
Right.
Because
Well, they call me the cold cracker. Like,
Oh, is that what they call you?
Yeah, they call me the cold cracker.
Great, because that's what I wanted you to do, is crack the code so we can let these brothers know.
No, 100%.
how to
No,
get
100%.
beyond
And-
ourselves.
Yeah. And it leads on to when you talk about the knowing and the purpose, and then you start looking at, what I'm doing now, it translates. You can show like how I transitioned from that and to get to XYZ, and your imagination, right? You have your imagination is so, you can travel, you can do so much, you can see so much. When I looked out the prison window in those bars, I remember sometimes I would look out there and I'm seeing, instead of the yard, I'm seeing freedom. What we place in our imagination is very, very important. I used to have painters commissioning them to paint paintings of things I wanted. You know what I'm saying? Me sitting on a stool in a condo with the New York City behind it. It's you training your mind, and really what you're thinking about is what, if you're doubting and you have the fear, right? Because you got to get scientific with this too, because I've read thousands of books. So I'm trying to read all kinds of cultures, all type of metaphysics. Like, how does the thoughts work? Does a thought have weight? Does it have gravity? Well, if it has gravity, that means it has a pull. So if a lot of thoughts start thinking like this, that means that. Like, you have to really start seeing like how things work in the universe, right?
That's
and
right.
how can you tap in and create your own reality? You know what I'm saying? So I believe that we had the power to create that reality. And that made me feel more empowered than feeling like I didn't.
You don't believe that. You know.
No,
that.
right.
And
Exactly.
that is the sauce.
100%.
Your knowings, because belief is still doubt in the belly of belief.
That's right.
I can
That's
say,
right.
I believe where you going? I believe I'm going over here to 7-Eleven. I believe I'll be back. There's
That's
doubt.
right.
I'm going to 7-Eleven. I'll be right back.
That's right.
That's a knowing.
No, 100%.
So,
100%.
and that's a part of the sauce and the fabric of who you are, which is such a special thing, brother, to meet
Right.
men like you.
Right.
And so much of you reminds me in so many ways of Nelson Mandela, because one of his famous sayings is that he was in prison for a lifetime or whatever it was, but he never spent a day in jail.
Right,
he never spent a day incarcerated because of the exact same things. Was Nelson one of your?
Yeah.
Did you read his book?
Yeah. And I talk about that in the principal book, right? I talked about it in an area where I used to read all of these different books, like obviously the Long Walk to Freedom by Mandela. The Long Walk, it was about individuals who was in a concentration camp, and they went through the frozen tundra, through the Himalayas, through the Mojave Desert, and to freedom. You know what I'm saying? So when I read books like that, the Man's Search for Meaning,
that's a great
and things of that nature, where you find meaning through suffering and what we're able to take. Right, these books help me. I read books. I read stuff like the Count of Monte Cristo with the guy. He's in prison for 20-something years, and they dug their way out of that. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And they threw him over, figured it out, and then got back to society in his most magnificent state of glory. And, you know what I'm saying? So when I would read these books of overcoming, it gave me hope. Like, I'm like, they was going through worse stuff than me. This is nothing, right? So it's like what you're choosing to read when you go to bed at night. What you're reading, what's on your mind? Because I need to maximize every minute of the day, right? So if I go to bed and I read a book, I'm still code cracking. I'm not going to go to bed listening to something that's going to have me thinking about this. No, because when I'm sleeping, codes need to be getting cracked.
Amen.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like those 8 hours, I wake up with ideas at 4 in the morning. I'm writing them down. I'm getting closer to freedom. I'm not wasting a millisecond of my day, even behind the walls of a prison.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
You
gotta want it.
I see it.
You gotta want it.
And you have to have blinders on.
That's right. You can't listen to nobody. Because listen, people are doubting. They're saying what can't be done. They're looking at what they can't do. They're going to put their fears on you. So this happening, you know what I'm saying? This is going to be happening constantly.
Yes.
So like, let's just say that seeps in. I'm like, yo, what you mean it's hard? No, I love it hard. Stop telling me it's hard. Get away from me. You know what I'm saying? And that was one of the reasons why I have Winergy. Winergy is, obviously it comes from within, right? Right. But it's all it is the mindset that I had when I was in prison, right? It was my force field that I kept around me to ward off doubters.
Yeah.
Because I got the Winergy. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So if I'm going through the prison, I'm going to the library, y'all want to go over here and watch basketball. Not that I didn't watch basketball. I gambled. I did stuff, in it periodically, right? But I stayed in that library every day. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So if you come to kick it with me, they're going to think about it. You know why? Because when they come, they're going to know they can't be lying and freestyling, right? They got to be held accountable. We got to be on something. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to gossip, you got your buddies that you can go gossip with.
That's right.
I'm not with that.
That's
so
right.
I created a force field around me so where I attracted more people that was on more trying to do something because they was like, oh, where you going to library? What you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to get back to the town, get to this freedom. You coming? Sometimes people will go left, they go right, and I'm walking. They be like, yo, let me holler at you. I'm like, yo, holler at me at the library. Next thing you know, it's 5 people at the library. Then it's 10 people. Then it's 15. Then it's 20. We all at computers. We're making the program. Yo, listen, you was a Navy SEAL. Yo, we're going to put the program together for the workout program. You went and stole money on Wall Street. You're going to do the Wall Street program. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're going to be a facilitator. My man likes to do yoga. Yeah, these cats need a little yoga in their life. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
So you're going to teach the yoga class. Matter of fact, you're going to be the spiritual director of the program. You understand what I'm saying? So we staying learning, staying growing, staying productive.
Yeah.
And that's how you keep going. Some people, like I said, they lose hope. They try to escape. I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't trying to drink. Even though I smoked a little weed every once in a while. I probably smoked 5 times. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not like every once in a blue because this older white guy was like, yo, Corey, you've been in 10 years. You hadn't had a drink. He was like, it's okay. You can take the edge off. You know what I'm saying? He was like, oh, they make prison wine? Of course. They was making wine before it was in the stores. How you think they made it? They made it out of fruit. They fermented it. They strained it. And it was gas. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, yeah.
Right? They make it in the mountains. They make it. All you need is some fruit. You need some sugar. And you need time.
Like moonshine in a way.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to tell you like this. In prison, you have to be some of the most creative, individuals you'll ever meet, right? They can make a knife out of newspaper and stab you. You understand what I'm saying? They're playing chess, and I'm in this room. I'm playing chess with somebody that's in another room through the wall. You see what I'm saying? So now this makes your mind all like, you start to see, I can see the chess pieces where you're positioned and where I'm positioned. I can't see your board. And I remember where your pieces is at. To the point where if you try to cheat, I'm like, no, 3 moves ago you did that, remember? And I took your bishop? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I did that? Nah, you see what I'm saying? This is how deep it's getting, right? So you be very resourceful. You understand? You get very resourceful because you're forced to. Either you are or you aren't. And that's
Do you think it's that
difference.
simple? Do you think it's either you are or you aren't?
Of course. It's either you're growing or you're dying. Either you're moving or you're
every,
not.
Every second of our lives.
Yeah.
You're either...
Yeah. You know, are you watering the plant? Are you tending to the soil? What are you putting in it? You know, you see what I'm saying? What's growing? Are you planting seeds in different places? So giving yourself possibilities.
So it's not a destination. It is the journey.
I always say when I was in there, right? If you're not creating, you're not living, right? I stayed creating. I stayed dreaming. I stayed putting stuff together. I didn't stop my ideas and things I wanted to do. They may not have manifested in there, but I got ideas now I'm implementing from 14 years ago that are hot as fire today. I tell somebody about the idea. They think it's the craziest idea ever, and I show them where I did it in 2008 when I first did it. And I built it out. We're talking about this much built out. Website designs and all these different things from then. And because it's a solution. And maybe I was a little bit early. You see what I'm saying? But I didn't stop creating so that I can hit the town and I can hit it running because I prepared myself. I did my entire bid, I would say, with the notion that I have 3 years left to get out. I was acting like I'm 3 years away. Because if you feel like you're 3 years away, what are you doing? You're doing this. I'm getting myself together. I'm doing boom. You see what I'm saying? There's not enough time in the day for me. The day is rolling by so fast that the day is over with because I'm doing so much to prepare for freedom.
You had the expectancy.
Yeah.
And the expectancy met your reality.
That's right.
In a way.
Listen.
I don't know how anybody doubts you in anything you say.
Right.
Because of what you just said.
They can just doubt the possibilities. It's like when you remove that doubt, as hard as it is sometimes because it's in there, it's like, is it gonna happen? But you're making yourself less powerful, right? There's let's say there's things coming in. It's like spokes, right? When you have doubt, you just might as well remove 4 or 5 spokes and you give yourself less chance. But when you take the doubt away, all of this is possible.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's all possible.
It's all possible.
Right? You know what I'm saying? And so it's not something you could just easily explain to people, right? So I try to
You're doing a great job at explaining it though. Let me just tell you.
I try to just to show, you know, like me, I learned you can't get anybody. It's hard to get people to do. I tried. Like when I was in there, if you was my cellie, you couldn't smoke. I used to be trying to get everybody to stop smoking cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? That was my thing, right? So I had a guy, he was like, if you're my cellie and you smoke, I was like, oh, you have to stop smoking because everybody wanted to be my cellie because I have all the books. They can go get some jewels. They like, yo, I'm trying to be a cellie so I can and I was like, well, you have to stop smoking. You know what I'm saying? So one time I had a cellie and he looked like he was doing good and he was in the room and my man said, yo, Ace is smoking. He's smoking in the room. Let him live. Don't lose. And then I told him, I was like, yo, it's all right. He was like, yeah, I couldn't stop me. You know what I'm saying? So I realized at that moment, you can't really, so it's like working out. I'm not the type of person, I'm not going to say, oh, let's go to the gym. I'm going to try. No, I'm going to be in the gym. You might walk by. I'm going to be working out. And you can be like, yo, what you doing? I said, oh, I just did 10 bench joints. You want to get in? I get it to play. That just feels like, it's just for me, it's more effective to just lead by example.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I can fight with you, but I can't fight for you.
I can't fight for you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I'm my little nephew. He like, yo, go grab me grab me in the morning when you go to work out. I wish I would go grab me a 21-year-old out some bed. You supposed to be coming to get me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No.
Right.
I can fight with you, but I can't fight for you.
Amen, brother.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah. So let me ask you a question. How did the Barack Hussein Obama know you? How did you become one of the few that he pardoned within his presidency? What's the story behind it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I remember I was in my room, and I was I guess I was on Facebook or something. You know, you put your little profile up there. Hopefully, a couple of people. I was never on this, but like as it got more popular, you know, I was always like a guy who was very innovative. You know. Well, anyway, a friend of mine, they showed Eric Holder was at a wedding of somebody that I knew. Let's just give this an example. Eric Holder was the Attorney General, right, of the United States. I was like, they was like, dude, do you know, so-and-so knows him. He's the Attorney General. And I was like, yo, where is Eric Holder from? You know what I'm saying, right? And he was from the Bronx, you know, whatever it is, and he's black. I'm like, hold on. I was like, and I read an article in a newspaper, and but they sent me the paper of the photo of him, and I had this folder, and I put it in the folder. It was like my vision folder, stuff that I wanted, right? You know, and I had to think of Brittany. She was on the front cover of the Washington Post. I put the article in my folder, and she ended up being my lawyer. I'm just giving it to you what it is.
Oh wow!
Right,
okay.
right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So now I see an article in a newspaper, at a Philadelphia paper, where he went out there and he was speaking to some young men. He was like, listen, although I'm in the position that I'm in, these guys was getting a second chance. He said, y'all have a better chance at impacting these young people out here than even I do, because you've been down the road they've been down. Right? And I was like, oh, he's talking to me. If you let me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, yo, so I took that. I put it in my folder. Make a long story short, once Brittany took my case, and she ended up taking my case, you know, at the end of the day, Eric Holder, and I wrote him, and I told him that I'm the guy you're talking about.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I'm the guy that you're saying can have an impact, you know, if given a second chance, and speak to these people, and show them there's a better way. He read the letter. Boom. He ends up doing an op-ed in the New York Times about my case, specifically about me. The first, you can just Google it. Eric Holder, Corey Jacobs, New York Times article.
That's
he had
incredible.
never done this. The Attorney General.
Wow.
That my sentence was unfair sentences. That's what the art school was about. He started it with case like Corey Jacobs, and ended it more Corey Jacobs is out there.
Wow.
That went through the entire criminal justice, Department of Justice.
Wow.
They had to, it was like you know why? Because in order to get the clemency, there's a few things that have to happen. For one, it has to go to the DOJ. Before it gets to Obama or the pardon attorney, they don't even see it, because they're protecting them, right, from frivolous cases. If they seen everybody that they shot at clemency, they wouldn't have enough time in the day.
That's right.
There's a process, right? So your judge, who wrote a support letter for me, and that's another story, he wrote that, right? So now you're a needle in a haystack. There's 35,000 petitions. But if Eric Holder wrote an article about my sentence being unfair, I almost could be the poster boy.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
So now from there, my attorney, she went and got the congressman after she resigned from her job, so you know, as a corporate attorney, and said, I'm gonna get you out if it's the last thing I do.
Wow.
Yeah. She,
Wow.
at 32 years old, she came, sat across from me in prison, and said, Corey, you're going to impact the world, and I'm gonna resign from my job and show you. I'm gonna sacrifice my career to get you out, and I'm gonna get you out. And then when I left her, she was like, look, go back into prison. She said, I want you to say, I'm free. And I was like, I'm free. She said, now go back in there. I don't even want you to worry about it. She went all over the country with #FreeCoreyJacobs shirts.
Wow,
We got
man.
the Congressman Scott of a congressman in Virginia where I called my case.
Mm-hmm.
He signed a support letter. That was big. The congressman, this is real congressman, not like a state rep.
Yeah,
Because that means they have to, like, when they put a letter, that means they have to listen to it. Like,
Right.
I can ask what happened.
Right.
Right. But if a regular person, a regular state rep or something, it's not like we don't have to. No, this is, I have to see learning
Yeah.
politics, understanding procedures. To crack the code, you got to know where the landmines
gotta know
are.
the system
You have to
you're
know
in.
the system. You see what I'm saying? You have to know the system. So one, we got
You
Eric
gotta be
Holder.
goose-
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Then we got that. Then a lawyer I had got, she was a pardon attorney for 16 years during the Bush and the Clinton administration. I was like, if I was getting a pardon, who would I get? I would get a pardon attorney that left the administration who's doing private work now. For you know, they know the code. It wasn't it. It wasn't it. So, make a long story short, I got all of these things, and then my attorney, after I started getting momentum, right, went, and there was 500 African American mayors in the United States. They wrote a letter to Obama, President Obama, saying that there was 10 people that they feel that could impact society if you let them free. And damn if I wasn't on that motherfucker.
Dude.
500 mayors.
Wow.
So you got Eric Holder, 500 mayors. My judge saying he wouldn't have gave me the time given if I was sentenced today. The congressman in Virginia, and all of those things started happening for me, and I started feeling more like everything that I did up to that point. It was leading me towards, to freedom. Wow. It was just, you know what I'm saying? And then ultimately, I got the call, you know what I'm saying? I got the call, that, right before Christmas in 2016 that, I talked to Brittany and I'm like, hello, it's a whole thing, you know what I'm saying? And
But tell us, tell me, man, this is.
No, yeah, well, look, I was in a cell, right? Mm-hmm. I was in a cell and it was getting close. We did an event called Hope for the Holidays, right? Where we brought out, she resigned from her job to take my case, but then it turned into like a whole movement, right? And now we got all these cases now she's fighting for, and we're filing petitions, making it a thing. So I hadn't got clemency yet, and it's like almost Thanksgiving. And now Obama is not even the president anymore because Trump had won.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So now it's like I'm done if he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
And what happened was we did a Hope for the Holidays, but we brought petitions in boxes in front of the Justice Department and stacked them up and had everyone, CNN, Van Jones, everybody was out there, went to the White House and did all of these things. And we did that last push. So now I'm looking for the clemency. I'm like, yo, my name isn't on it time after time. And so now I hear they're gonna do the last little list potentially, right? And I was like, it was supposed to be on a Friday, and now it's Friday. It's on the 16th too, and I'm like, damn, I could get it on it because my number is 16. I had 16 life sentences.
16, yeah.
Listen, that's a whole story behind that. But so I'm in the bed the whole weekend. I'm curled up. I can't even sleep. I'm like, the rubber is gonna meet the road. I said, if Monday, no, what happened was Friday, I seen Obama on TV, and he was on the podium, and he was kind of looking very unpresidential right there. He was leaning on there, and he was just talking like, he was like, I'm not the president. Like, I told you motherfuckers to vote. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever, right? And I'm on my way to Hawaii. I was like, he's going to Hawaii. It's over. If I'm not on this, I'm done. So it's 7 a.m. I'm laying in my bed. I have an outfit folded up on my thing, like the Browns, it's folded up. And at 7 o'clock, I hear my name being called in a loudspeaker. Corey Jacobs, come to.
Man.
Corey Jacobs, come to the administration office, right? And then I had this kid, this inmate, he came to my door, busted my door. Because usually I'm up at 5:30, but now I can't even sleep. I haven't got it. I'm imagining like, if I can't get it in Obama's presidency, when can I get it? You know what I'm saying? After this crazy push with all the support and the universe and everything aligning up for me. And, you know, and so I had got so nervous at that point because nobody has gotten it in the prison like that. I know when they call you up there and you file, they'll call you and say, you didn't get it. That's all I've ever seen. Like they call you up there, they be like, you get it? They be like, I didn't get it. So when they call on my name, you know, the guy comes in, he's like, yo, C, they call me C. Yo, they call your name, nigga, that's it. And I'm like in the bed and I'm frozen. He said, get up, nigga. I'm telling you, that's it. So this was a guy. He wasn't my friend, but he was a guy. Whenever I see him, he said, man, you going to get that. You a good dude, man. He was like, you going to get it. You know what I'm saying? He's like, you going to get it out of everybody. You going to get it. And so he runs in my room and he said, get dressed. And I put my clothes on. I'm tucking my shirt. I have a little belt. And I'm walking and I come out the room and I'm walking slow. And then usually it's so loud in the morning because people done bet it on, you know, basketball, football, whatever. I think it was like football season or something. And everybody was just there and nobody was talking. This is unheard of. And so you had guys all up on the top, leaning over the balcony. Some guys just sitting there and everybody was looking as I was walking through the unit. And some dude was like, yo, good luck, bro. You know what I'm saying? Boom. Some dudes is indifferent, obviously. Who gives a fuck? I'm doing my time. F him, you know.
Right.
And I went back there and I seen it was two white ladies, you know, counselors. And usually they're not there in the morning. You know what I'm saying? They don't come until like 8:30 or whatever, right? So they're back there. They're acting all funny. They like, you come here. I'm like, what happened? I was like, do I get it? Did I get it? And they was like, they don't even know, right? They was like, you just got a call in 2 minutes. We had a call, and you're gonna get a call. So they put me in this room, and it was like a rotary phone. You know, a phone where like you hit the thing and it's going, it's making noise. It was like literally a rotary phone, like literally plugged into the wall. And the room was just a dusty room, with cobwebs, and I'm just sitting there, and it's not even lit. It's just I'm in there waiting for the phone to ring for 2 minutes, the longest 2 minutes of my entire life to this day. And then the phone rang. I pick it up, and I'm like, hello? And my lawyer, she's like, hey, Corey. And I was like, hey, Corey. I said, you sounded jubilant to myself, you know. And she was like, I said, are we winning? She's like, yes, we're winning. She said, yes, we're winning. She said, we're winning. And then she was like, she was just telling me, Corey, I just want to let you know that Obama signed your purpose. Wow. And the thing about it is, I ain't cried then. You know what I'm saying? I had never cried my whole entire sentence. Wow. And even my grandmother died, I dropped a little tear, but I knew she told me beforehand that she was, she ain't have it. She ain't have the fire no more. She couldn't wait. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, she said, Obama signed my presidency, and we did it.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And then that was it.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow, brother. You are one of the most incredible human beings I've met. Mm-hmm. And I do think that you are here for a reason on this planet, in this room. Mm-hmm. And I am so proud of you as a black man walking this earth who's been through my own fair share of adversities. Mm-hmm. I'm so fucking proud of the person you are. And I'm so thankful to Ariel for introducing me to you and to the world from my POV. Mm-hmm. Your story, your life is a living example of what it means to have faith, to have courage, and to have strength to overcome all the shit that we go through in this lifetime, brother. Mm-hmm. For me, as I said earlier, you are the quintessential black man, and you are exactly what it needs and what we need to overcome anything in our lifetimes, because things happen to all of us. Mm-hmm. But I also, I pay homage to your grandmother, because I believe in one of my notes I put, before I even knew your story, was who prayed for you. Yeah. There's an anointing over your life. There's a calling over your life. And I think you know that. That's very clear. Mm-hmm. But a lot of us know it, and we don't serve our purpose.
Yeah.
So I have to give you every single ounce of my thanks and gratitude for serving your purpose. And I'm pretty sure it's not easy, to walk the journey of who you are. I'm pretty sure it's just not easy just because you're out either.
No, 100%.
The thing that gave you the fuel and the power to do everything you've done is that you've been mentally free for a very long time.
100%.
And that mental freedom gave you the intelligence that you needed to see things clearly. And seeing things clearly, you get to see that every one of our lives has a pattern. It's a pattern. We didn't invent this thing. So
And that's what we started thinking. We invented the
That's right.
like we start
That's the
our
misconception.
egos and we start to and that's where we don't see stuff clearly.
That's
and
right.
that's where we get hit.
That's where we get hit. This episode is going to allow a lot of black men and men of color in general to see the patterns that exist before them. And instead of allowing the patterns that have existed before us and the laws that existed before us to break you, you are a prime example of a man who used those laws and those patterns and the favor and will of God that every man has. You're not special in that way. Every man has favor, but you have the gift of recognizing your gifts.
That's right.
And that is your superpower.
That's right.
So my brother.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man, come on, dude. You have inspired me so much, and I could sit here and talk to you all day.
Right.
But seriously,
and we'll come back and do another one. Listen, when I put
hey,
the
man,
book
we
out,
about to be friends. What you talking about?
that's
Come
my
back.
man. Nah,
I'm talking to you tomorrow.
Ain't no question. It's a lot. I believe. Look, man, there's a lot that can be done with good brothers coming together.
Amen.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And I believe the what should happen, our different experiences, is that cold crack, right? Like I have my journey, you have your journey, and when you bring in more people, you have a network of people. I have a network that I've met and different people, right? And when you bring all of that together, and we start to sitting down, we start to strategizing,
Yes,
and start to running. Putting our minds together. That's why we're here. Like, what I'm saying? We start putting our minds together. Like from this day forward, there's really no limit, ceiling to as far as we can go and rise. There's literally globally. I mean, because Winergy for me, Winergy building a global community of winners. That's the push, and that's what's gonna happen.
Amen, brother. So tell us, how can the people be and get more involved with Winergy? Tell us where to go, where you find the book. Give us all the
I'm about to put that in the air in a minute. I think you can go to Corey S. Jacobs at Instagram. You can find me there. I'm on LinkedIn as well. You got Winergy.com. I'm gonna be launching that in probably the next week or so.
Nice.
And I'm gonna have a lot of, because another thing I want to do, right? We just don't want to be like, oh, Winergy, we're waving it. No, we want to actually help empower people so that they can fulfill their fullest potential.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So not just like, okay, yeah, we have the Winergy. Once we crack, the code to like the mental freedom and we show the process. Now, how can we, as in business and in different things like that, how can we put our network and resources together? Whatever you need to win, if you embrace this push and you bring in value and you are, we're not fighting for you, you're fighting for yourself.
Yeah.
So that's the push.
Fighting
that's
with
you,
not for you.
If you coming in fighting for yourself, even if you dealing with somebody's huge, get a black eye. Just close your eyes and throw some swings. If you just do that, we're gonna rock with you.
Yeah.
Right. And then when they come, listen, look at all the many ways and tools and people and connections that we can connect people with in order to be successful, right? And build businesses together and just from the smallest thing somebody might need to some of the biggest connections that they would need to fulfill their dreams. That's right in our hands. We got it, right? I got a good amount myself.
Yeah.
So what happens when we get the bing, 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 right? Connecting people and doing this, but it got to have the right energy. I done made a lot of decisions. I done supported people. I was the type of guy who would, You can just mess me over like 5 times. I still mess with you. I'm not that guy no more. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be. I'm supposed to be
Yeah.
smarter,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying? I don't do that. And I'm very perceptive. I can see if it's earlier, if it's not a play. So if you come in faking or bullshit, I'm going to
You gonna sniff
be
them
on
out.
you
Yeah.
very fast.
Yeah.
Because one thing I learned from prison, to get out there alive, you have to know people if they're good for you or not. When you come in contact with you got to be able to read them immediately because you could die. You could die.
Yeah.
By not knowing, you know, or letting somebody in or embracing something that shouldn't be in your circle. So you have to be strong enough to not do it, right? So at the end of the day, I feel like that's another thing, like, you know, coming together and being intentional on building some things. Because my story, I feel like I'm winning. You know, I'm winning because I'm incredibly happy. I'm gonna tell you that, and I milk every second of the day. It takes a lot to get me off my square. I think if by showing people that a person can go through something like this, come out the other side and be better, and then win and thrive, not just survive. That's the story that needs to be told, because now other people can say, well, I have examples, not just examples of people that didn't do it. You need more examples of people who won.
That's right.
Because they're using the examples of people who didn't win to keep other people still in prison.
That's right.
Because they're going to be like, yo, look at all of these people that didn't win. No, we need some wins on the board.
That's right. And we need brothers like you who have won.
That's right.
Not just winning, but you won this game of life,
That's
brother,
right.
to give us the tools and the sauce, as we like to call it. So thank you for sharing your sauce with us, brother.
I'm happy to be. I'm blessed. Thank you for the hospitality.
I'd like to thank you guys personally for watching today's episode. And I'd also like to ask you to spread the word about our community. We're small and we're mighty, but we're healing and growing as men. And thank you in advance for helping share that. So if you want to help us keep the conversation going, or if you need to have a chat yourself, you can always reach out to us on our Facebook, our Instagram, or our TikTok. Fellas, let's grow.